Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time I'm playing in the Tier 9 British tank destroyer. It's the one, the only, it's the Tortoise. Now this vehicle is the most dangerous tank in the game if its opponents sit in front of it for extended periods, and that's because it has the highest damage per minute in World of Tanks. Even higher than, whoop, wait a minute, that MX-1390 nearly lost a few hit points crashing into the side of this. This is not a light tank. As I was saying, the STRV-103B, that brand new Tier 10 Swedish tank destroyer, even inside siege mode, doesn't have as high DpM as the Tortoise. And considering this is a Tier 9 vehicle, that's all the more impressive. And when you get yourself into a matchup like this, we're talking about killing multiple enemy tanks every single minute of the game if you're allowed to use the vehicle to its fullest capability. Now with my current loadout on this vehicle, I just checked, and I have 4,184 DpM. That's 2 Tier 10 tanks with 2,000 hit points every minute, or maybe 1 1/3 mouse tanks, you know, with that incredible hit point buff that the vehicle has. And if we're engaging light tanks on the enemy team, I'm killing roughly about 4 AMX 1390s a minute with this vehicle if you're truly allowed to let rip. Now, of course, it's not the only Tier 9 British tank destroyer, the Tortoise. It also has to deal with the turreted Conway, the 4005, I believe. And there are a few things that the Tortoise do better than the Conway, and a few things that the Tortoise certainly do not better than the Conway. Number one, it's got 10% better DPM than the Conway. That's still not bad for the Conway when you think that this is the highest DPM in the game, and for this to only be 10% higher, that's not too bad for the Conway, but certainly still an advantage for the Tortoise. This vehicle has better aim time, 1.7 seconds compared to 1.9. Its accuracy is better as well, 0.31 compared to 0.32, but 0.32 is still great. This vehicle also has better dispersion to help out that awesome aim time the vehicle has. And the Tortoise has 10 degrees of gun depression, which allows it to work very well on ridge lines. However, of course, the Tortoise is an absolute slow-moving slug of a tank, truly living up to its name. It's limited to 20 kilometers an hour, and its power-to-weight ratio and ground resistances aren't fantastic. In fact, it's just over 10.5. Finally, we managed to find the AMX 1390 on the enemy team, who was managing to spot us through that bush. He makes a mistake for 1 second, and our 120mm British main armament rips him 409 damage through his hull. Now, of course, one thing that is great about the Tortoise is that its armor is fantastic at the front, all apart from one horrible thing, and that is this machine gun port on the top of the vehicle. If you expose this machine gun port and it quite often sticks up over ridge lines, you are going to be in a lot of trouble. And so if you're shooting at a Tortoise, nail it in here again and again and again. And don't sit in front of it like this T-54E1 is. It's absolutely baffling how quickly this tank reloads, right guys? But a bit unfortunate that we're ricocheting some shells, you know. When you've got that DPM, you certainly want to see it fly. Oh, what? Come on! 0.31 accuracy, my backside. That AMX 1390 should count himself lucky, as 3 shots do no damage to the enemy tanks in a row. So that's 1,200 damage missed. But the Tortoise has a big old slug of hit points, which does give it some exceptional durability. 2,000 hit points, meaning one of my favorite things to do in this vehicle is just to sit there in front of the enemy tanks, and you are definitely going to kill them before they kill you. I think probably the only kind of tanks in the game that are going to kill the Tortoise before you kill the enemy are probably going to be something like an FV215B, although I'd have to think about that clearly, but definitely a mouse now with that DPM buff, and also with the hit point pool that the mouse has. You don't want to be sitting in front of a mouse anymore. But this is what's just gorgeous about the Tortoise. We put 1 round into the IS-3, we track him, we hit him again, and just the crazy rate of fire. That IS-3 was on full health before he crossed. We put in, how much damage did we do? 843 to him with 2 shots, and we lock him in place for our team behind, providing some assistance. Now, this position that I'm sitting on Erlenberg, when you're defending an assault, is by far the most important place to be. You want to have your heavy tanks on this location here, and you want to form this triangle that you see me drawing on the map. This triangle is the best way to defend your cap circle. You have your sneaky tank destroyers, a lot like that UDES, sitting at the back. Then you have heavy tanks grinding on this corner, being able to spot for them. And then hopefully you've got some light tanks pressuring some vision through the middle. And then you've got some vehicles like the Ferdinand, the less sneaky tank destroyers, maybe with a little bit more hit points, sitting at the back there, providing crossfire across the middle of the map, and also hammering down shots on the opponents. If they do manage to flank around this corner, that corner, the Ferdinand will be able to shoot them, and if they continue to push through the cap circle. And if you do this on Erlenberg, and I see a lot more teams doing this recently, especially when you talk to them at the beginning of the game, sometimes teams will listen, and you don't waste tanks on the west-hand part of the map, then the defending team really does have a massive advantage. And this is something that I've only been really seeing in the last couple of months. Most of the time, defending teams on Erlenberg will invest a few tanks towards the west. And if they invest tanks towards the west and they get overwhelmed there, maybe engaged, while none of the enemy decide to come across the east over here and push down here immediately, then that's usually how the defending team loses at the most convincing fashion on Erlenberg. So one of my number one tips to you is don't go to the west and get caught. That's the worst thing that you can do. The best locations to be are here, here, and also up here. And if you're up where this UDES is, well, you're just absolutely golden. I'm getting some spotting right now. So the T10 puts a round into us. Where does that one go into our tank? I can't quite see. But we're ready to fire immediately again, so I can't show you. This tank's rate of fire is so good that I can't judge where the shells are hitting it. Luckily, the next one doesn't go in. And we've still got 700 of our hit points remaining. And now this is just a great moment of the replay. Well, maybe not the bounce off the cupola off the T10. That was rather unfortunate. But this Oni thinks, well, I've got a huge amount of hit points. I'm a tier 7 heavy. I can just waltz around this corner into the Tortoise, right? He repairs his tracks. We're ready to go almost again immediately, and I do not think that tier 7 Japanese sumo of a heavy tank expected to be cut down quite so quickly by the tier 9 British Tortoise. So the enemy are just waltzing over. This is absolutely perfect for us. We're up to 3,800 damage. 2,000 spotting as well. We're providing vision for the UDES at the back of the map. Who's there also with him? He's also got a Tiger 2 there. That's I think one of the most accurate heavies in the game. So that's a great mid to long range sniper. And now we're going to take down this T25-2. Although, where does that one go? Looks like I ducked that one right into the ridgeline. I'm aiming right in the central mass of the vehicle. And I think I shoot a ridgeline again. I have no idea. Are there some kind of ridgeline in the bushes that I'm missing out on? Let's just take a quick look at that. Oh, so there's a lip. There's a tiny lip that goes up here that was protecting the T25-2. But we shut him down anyway. We then finish off the T10. And now we turn our attention to the ISU-152, who misses us narrowly. We set him on fire. And this is where the Tortoise just gets absolutely crazy. This DpM, this just insane capability of destruction. When the enemy have to make the push, this vehicle has the durability to be able to ricochet a few shells, and even if it doesn't, it has the hit points to be able to take a few penetrations as well. And there's no better tank for just simply murdering the enemy team in the quickest amount of fashion. Oh my word, that Super Pershing goes down, and now with only 2 minutes left on the game, the enemy are trying. We've really just taken out most of the enemy team here. Look at all my friends just chilling at the back of the map. But we come around the corner. Does the T-54E one hit us? Yes, he does. We could clearly see that he was aiming at our cupola there, high up on the left. Puts a good shot into the weak point, and this is your ticket for stopping the destruction of the Tortoise. But nevertheless, with only 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the game, surely my friends are going to be able to get through this one. Oh man, that was some of the most crazy tier 9 just brawling that I have seen in a while. I really enjoyed the Tortoise when I first got it. It's not a new tank. It's been in the game for a long time, and it's amazing that it still seems to remain relevant now, even if it does have the weak points on top of the tank. And I've been playing it again recently, and I've seriously been enjoying it. I think just the fact that has got the highest DpM truly does make it special, and I think it's probably one of the best, should we say, brawlers or a duelist in the game. And as long as you can try and stop yourself from getting flanked, you can just kill whatever's in front of you. And there's something that's just very novel about that, I think, about the Tortoise. And it's rapidly becoming, again, one of my go-to tanks, just for a little bit of fun and kick back, and it doesn't matter. Just drive towards the opponents and finish them off, hopefully one by one. Or in this kind of a situation, have them all drive along to you and create, a bit of a graveyard around my corpse here, the wreck of my tank. Not a bad result for the Tortoise on Erlenberg. So it looks like the Tortoise beat the Hares on the enemy team in the form of their rapid medium tanks. And while they say that slow and steady wins the race, I guess it was very fortunate that we were on the defending team here in the Tortoise, and there's no doubt that we certainly wouldn't have been so successful when we were attacking. As the sole tank in a position of paramount importance on that bridge, we pick up a patrol duty medal for our team here, spotting 2,700 and dealing 6,000 damage to the enemy team, netting us a high caliber. And this was a whopping amount of experience for a tier 9 vehicle, 1,664 base experience points. And it doesn't look like we needed to fire that many APCR rounds this game, as we still make 38,000 credits profit. So the Tortoise, certainly a one-of-a-kind vehicle in World of Tanks with the highest damage potential. It's definitely not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm slowly falling in love with this tank once again. And so hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a like. I'd really appreciate it. And let me know in the comments what you think about the Tortoise. Do you think the fact that it's so slow renders the incredible DPM of the tank redundant and useless? Or do you think that an experienced player can take the vehicle into positions where it can use all of its strengths to its advantages? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.